Welcome back to the second part of this service to a Seiko Quartz Chronograph 7A38-702A. The movements that you see here is the non-working movement that I received. As you can see, it's full of rust, and this is the case it came into. I also received a second watch, identical, as you can see. For the dial, it's the same model, and the movement looks great. It's in great shape. So after cleaning the case, which is although was full of rust, it is in way better condition than the other one. I will just swap the movement, and basically I can call it done. Of course, I won't call it done because I will still service both movements. I am now just swapping the movement because I want to check how it looks all together. If eventually needs further cleaning, if the dial presents some issues that I'm not aware of, so on and so forth. So this is the working movement. I am being as careful as I can. I don't see issues with this movement. There is no traces of rust, just some tiny dust specks that I'm removing now with Rodico. It keeps good time as well, so there's no need to regulate it, or to adjust it. And here it goes back into, back inside the new case. Hoping that it doesn't fall. I have to put it with my hands. I didn't touch it. Don't worry if you see me touching the movement with my bare fingers, because it is going to be serviced again. So the movement is going to be disassembled completely, checked, cleaned, and reassembled. There you go. And here is the case original back cover. The serial number dates this one from September 1987, while the other is from February 1986. And here is the working movement. As you can see, obviously I still need to put the pushers back in. They're still inside the cleaning machine, but the movement looks great inside the case. The case is clean. The gold plating on the bezel is also a bit worn out on the outer edge, but it's not as bad as the other one. The other one is almost clear now. So this is what I don't like about this, is the fact that it still has a dent here, a line here, which the other bezel doesn't have, and some scratches here and there. The glass will need to be replaced anyways. This is something that the owner will do himself probably, but it looks good. It looks really good. So now I leave the movement, the working movement, inside the case so that it doesn't get any dust, and I'll put the case inside a small plastic box, and I'll tackle the other movement just to see how bad is it. So well, the hands move freely. Let me check what happens if I put a new battery in. Let's see. It doesn't move. No movement whatsoever. With the battery. So let's just remove the battery before it creates further problems. That battery was new but used. I am willing to try this other battery, see if something happens. Nope. Nothing at all. Okay. It was worth the try, I guess. so. So let's start. Apparently all rotors tick. Without an issue. So there's nothing blocking the movement of the hands, apparently at least. There you go. Those were the hands. I'm removing all the rust particles from the dial with an old piece of Rodico, which is not too clean but also not too bad. And let's start with the disassembly. I should eventually do first the other side, but to avoid damaging the dial, I will remove the dial first. Good. One screw of the dial goes out pretty well, and so does the other one. That's a good sign. Apart from some specks, some rust particles, the underneath, the part underneath the dial is in good condition. I noticed that the feet are missing though. It should have I'll point it with the rodico. Here, that's the hole of the screw that I just removed, and aside of it there's a notch, there's a mark, and that is exactly where the feet should be. That's missing both feet. It is not so problematic because the screws tend to hold the whole dial in place. They're just missing. The holes are there, as you can see here, but the screws are just missing. So as I said, there is some rust particles inside it, but nothing really dramatic. At least on this side. The other side's going to be way worse, of course. There is some trace of here, water ingress here. It stopped right here, and here the stem. So let's try to, as you can see, both date and day are working well. They say properly with a loud click, especially the date ring. Very carefully remove the holding ring for the date, holding clip for the date, sorry. There you go. And now the ring removed. And now I will remove the rest of the mechanism. 1, 2, and 3 screws. This particular mechanism looks in really great shape. As I said, this part at least. So I'm pretty confident that with not so much work and not so many spare parts, I will be able to make it spring back to life, hopefully. So after, okay, and okay. there's still a fair amount of oil. Which is good. And that is probably the reason why this movement this side has not become victim of rust, since the oil has protected it a bit. Okay. There you go. You see here the wait. I didn't check the underside though. Okay. Okay. There's some trace of corrosion, but it can be easily removed. Just superficial corrosion, and I guess this one will be also easily removed with a bit of, yep, great. So this part is done. I will flip the movement over and tackle what you might call the elephant in the room. And try not to catch the posts. Okay, so great. Okay. Now I need another small container. So I need to buy new containers. Please have patience. Okay. And now. All the screws just remove fine. The fact that the adjustment lever, the timing adjustment lever is missing, and that some the screws are way too clean. And there are a couple of screws that are a bit different from. Sorry, that was my mobile phone. They're way too different from the other. Specifically one. It makes me think that this has obviously was touched before. So this watch has been tampered before. Now comes the moment of truth. At least some parts. It has been open and some parts has been taken. Let's see if I am able to pry it open without further damage on it. Oh, I am dumb. I just forgot. A couple of screws. Now, great. Oh, exactly was what I was fearing and honestly expecting after seeing such. Whoa. The PCB is totally fried. As you can see. So, dead. Completely dead, completely fried. Don't know if because of acid or something else, but definitely dead. Before continuing in the disassembly, I am removing some rust from the plastic part, the plastic cover, which protects the gears underneath. And it does have some rust particles, of course, and some oil traces too, but the metal posts that are the actual actuators for the pushers, the ones that make the contact and not rusty, they're still there. So just a very, very, very light rust dust that comes away with the Rodico, and this side will just clean up well with a little bit of human labor and love. I've seen definitely worse. And the movement itself, okay. Some pushers, sorry again. I'll just put it to mute. So, as I was saying, the pusher levers here are in great shape, surrounded by dust particles, by rust particles, sorry. But they're not rusted themselves apart from this one. This has some traces of rust at the edge of a, but sorry, it's not really that much. This one is also rather clean. Basically, I can say that the rust has damaged the circuit block, surely, but it appears to not have affected the mechanical parts that much of this Seiko 7A38-702A Quartz Chronograph. Jewels are obviously dry, but they are all intact, which is great. And now I will look for my multimeter and check if the coils are working. And for this I need the manual to see if the